Welcome to the Rocky Garza Show, where we explore the collision of a deeply meaningful life and a wildly impactful career. I'm your host, Rocky Garza, and with over a decade of experience as a coach, consultant, and keynote speaker to many Fortune 500 companies, I'm here to share personal stories and expert advice to help you gain clarity, build confidence, and discover that you too can build the life you actually want. Whether you're a high achiever looking for a more full life or a leader striving for professional success with purpose, this podcast was designed with you in mind. One of my most favorite thoughts about leadership, about development, whether it's personal or professional, and creating the life we want is the idea of tension. I think it may be one of the top 3 topics I seem to talk about the most is this idea of tension. I started thinking about the concept, especially thinking about work-life balance. And I always used to find there was this sort of weird place with work-life balance where that phrase never really seemed to sit right with me. I never really seemed to get the idea of what do we mean by work-life balance, because to me, it never felt balanced. It never felt even. It never felt like what I was going for was this 50-50 split, or maybe the idea of judicial scales. That never really seemed to fit the idea for me of what life was supposed to be like, was this idea of balance. And so the way it seemed to always make sense for me is I began to think, wait a second, what if it was more like a work-life tension? What if it was 2 things that were not at odds with another trying to create equality? Or what if it was 2 things that were at tension with another, that one tension pulled in a direction tended to yield itself to the other one as we were sort of walking through life. Over the course of the last 5 years or so, as I've explored the idea of tension more and more and more, I've begun to understand, and I think to believe, that tension is not just about work and life, but really in any aspect of our life. Because what if I told you that clarity and freedom didn't come from picking the side that was right, but actually came from the ability to live in the tension of both? See, I think that oftentimes the space we're looking for in our own life to find a level of clarity or freedom doesn't come because we find some balance of both. It comes because we find that there's tension that exists in both areas, right? Yet I think that we find ourselves living in a world that's obsessed with absolutes. We're obsessed with being right. We're obsessed with being told that our way is the correct way and that it's either the right or the left. That you're either going to be Democratic or you're going to be Republican. You're either going to be liberal, you're going to be conservative. You're either going to be the hustler or you're going to be self-involved and rest. You're either going to be prideful and egotistical or you're going to practice humility and let other people go first. You're either going to have a level of curiosity in what you're doing or you're going to be convictional and stick to your way. You're going to be logical or you're going to be emotional. And again and again and again, I think we're sort of fed with this idea that it has to be one or the other, because then if you can pick one, then you can find a tribe who believes that same thing, and then you will find community, and then you will be safe. And so I guess I do want to say that there is a little bit of this, that maybe it is a little unorthodox to say that we're going to live in the tension of both. Maybe it is a little unorthodox to say that we're going to find that there is a reality that exists where both can be true at the same time. Because you see, the tension is uncomfortable. The space that we live in that says we're going to let both things be true at the same time, I find is uncomfortable for many of us because it feels like we're losing control. I think if we can pick one or the other and we feel right, then we feel in control. And to allow both to be true means that we're not quite sure where we are, or maybe we're not quite sure where we land. And so as we think about the tension today, I want you to think through this, that the idea is that it's supposed to pull us in both directions. The idea is that it's supposed to sort of make our chest a little bit tight. That's not a negative thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it is going to cause some tension in either one of those ways. Because I think that feeling is really our way. It's our body. Our bodies are very smart. I think it's our body's way of telling us, hey, there may be something here. That life can be really, really hard. You can go through a season that is difficult, and maybe it's with loss, or maybe it's with grief, or maybe it's with struggle, or maybe it's with pain. And simultaneously, life can be beautiful. There can be a struggle that you are seeing or you are facing. There could be a team or a teammate that you are dealing with and leading that is really hard. And so you're on a 30, 60, 90-day period to try to really help them grow. And it is stretching who you are as a leader, and it's allowing you to do the same thing. And so I think we have to remind ourselves that the tension that comes, the difficulty that comes inside that tension, doesn't always have to be seen as negative. We don't have to pick one, right? We don't have to hold on so tight to it and build our identity around this singular thought that it only has to be this way, because there is another perspective. And I'm not asking you not to have conviction. I'm not asking you not to have deep belief. I'm not asking you or even encouraging you to let go of what you believe because somebody else may think something different and therefore your thoughts don't matter. Please don't hear what I'm not saying. The only thing I'm asking of you is that you would be willing to consider that there may be an alternative view that somebody else sees as equally important and valuable or as right as you do. And that freedom comes, the clarity comes, the opportunity for growth comes when we practice responsible vulnerability and we allow ourselves to sit in the reality that maybe there is some truth to somebody else's idea. Maybe your leadership style is in fact good and true and right for you, and there is another way. And so I just want to ask you today to explore, what would the tension be in your life? Where are the two areas in your life? Where are the places in your life where maybe you can begin to see and discover and understand, where is there an opportunity for you to be able to see both? See, I want us to encourage us is that I don't necessarily know, what if the problem isn't what we choose, right? It's that we thought we had to choose only one to be right. And so I want to think about it like this. I think when we allow ourselves to live in the tension, what it does is that it actually allows us to really experience a much more full picture of life. When I can both find myself frustrated or upset or angry, maybe I find myself being angry or mad with the kids and they did something and I have to go now and realize that I yelled and I was impatient and they didn't do anything wrong and it made them upset and they ran away, and then I had to go back in the room and I had to go find them and I had to go have a conversation and I had to apologize and ask for forgiveness, and I could walk away from that singularly and say, I'm a terrible father. I'm upset. Why do I have this issue? Why can't I keep myself together? Why do I feel like I lose control? It's going to happen again. I guess this is me and it's going to be who I am. Or I could let part of that story be true, that I was impatient, I was frustrated. And what an incredible opportunity I have to walk back into my daughter's room and sit on the edge of her bed and ask her to come here and to be able to hold her and to apologize and ask for forgiveness and show her what it's like that we do as humans lose control of our emotions sometimes. And sometimes our emotions do control our body, but in doing so, we have the mental capacity to be able to come back and make reconciliation because we take responsibility for the impact we had, not just the defense of our intentions. See, I often find that that's what I mean by the tension. That life is so much more full when we let both be true. Life is, I believe, so much more rewarding when we recognize that both can be true. That it doesn't have to just be one or the other. Confidence and uncertainty, confidence and doubt live together. They actually give way to each other's existence. Contentment of what I have built and created and the ambition to continue to move forward can live together. I think that's called presence. Grounded in the conviction about what I believe and open to the opportunity to change can exist. See, I think where we lack the ability to see and recognize and hold the tension is typically the place where we are longing for the greatest amount of control. We're longing for control because we hope and believe that that's going to be the thing that's going to save us or provide it for us or so on. See, I think the truth is most of the time, the answer is both. Most of the time, not always, don't hear what I'm not saying. But I think that most of the time, the answer is both. Most often in life where I am longing for a place for me to discover where do I want to go and how do I want to make an iterative change and what do I want to do next, most often I find that that is in the tension of both. That I can let someone in my life feel the emotions they are feeling and it doesn't have to be about me. That I can find that I'm going to fix something that was broken or damaged, or I'm going to attempt to repair a relationship, and I may find that that relationship won't be the same. That I'm going to seek forgiveness from something I did. I'm going to spend more energy trying to take responsibility for my impact than I am defending my intention, while also maintaining the integrity of my intention and knowing that those things were good. They can both exist. There's a beautiful tension that lives inside of us when we allow both. And so I want to encourage you today. What is a space where tension would provide some freedom for you? Where's a space where maybe you could even just begin to explore, what would that look like? What would it look like for you to begin to see life with both? That the power of A and D is extraordinary. When we let ourselves see and realize both of those things, and it's not a neutrality, it's not the ability to say, I'm going to pretend that neither of them exist, but it's actually a recognition of both. That how much greater is my ability and my perspective to be seen once I recognize that maybe somebody else's perspective that's different than mine actually adds some additional color to what I thought and believed in my leadership, in my life, in my relationships, and my capacity to continue to support and encourage other people. Where is there tension in your life? And what if I told you that picking a side wasn't where you found freedom, but it was actually in the ability to hold both? Thank you so much for joining me on the Rocky Garza Show. I would love to have you join me for my monthly leadership training. If you are interested in that and you want to talk more about the tension, what does the tension of leadership and life look like? We cover that in our monthly training. You can go to rockygarza.com/confidence. You can register for it there, and I would love to see you soon.